Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Read, share, repeat, where we discuss books from the perspective of an aspiring fantasy author. Me, Carrie Share. Today I am very excited to bring you the next installment of my tarot card book recommendations. This is a series I am bringing over from my other channel, and if you're not familiar, basically what I like to do is draw a random card out of my tarot deck and try and find a book recommendation based on that card. Now, to be clear, I am still very much an amateur when it comes to the tarot deck. I began teaching myself tarot a few years ago, and I am not confident enough to do readings for anyone else. I usually just do a daily draw as a way to familiarize myself with the deck and what each card means. So while I am recommending books based on my interpretations of the card, bear in mind that this is just my opinion and my personal reading of these cards and these books. I am always willing to take book recommendations, so if you ever think a book is more appropriate for a card or vice versa, I would love to hear them. This is meant to be a way to recommend books and get book recommendations in return, as well as a way to learn more about the tarot and connect with them on another layer of my interests and personality. A few quick reminders. First, for this series, I am not doing the cards in order. I have shuffled them and I am doing a completely random draw. And I'm doing it this way because I think it would just be more interesting to not know what the next card is going to be and have to really think hard about which book I would like to recommend based on it, rather than knowing the schedule ahead of time. Also, for this project, I'm not using a standard Rider-Waite tarot deck. I am using my Ethereal Visions deck, which was illustrated by Matt Hughes, and I have linked in the description below if you're interested in picking it up for yourself. I highly recommend it. It's very beautiful. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. I've already selected the card for this recommendation, and it is the Chariot. The Chariot is one of 22 major arcana cards in a standard tarot deck. And as such, it is not associated with a specific suit or has its own numerology. The major arcana tend to represent major events in life, whereas the minor arcana focus on smaller occurrences or decisions. It falls between the Lovers and the Strength cards of the major arcana, and is most closely associated with willpower, drive, ambition, and most of all, determination. The Chariot is associated with the element of water, and when asking a yes or no question, it would signify a yes. It can also sometimes mean traveling or transportation, but more often it symbolizes overcoming obstacles, triumph in the face of adversity, or simply the mental will and energy to accomplish a goal. When I first drew the Chariot for this recommendation, I struggled a little bit because to me, the determination that the Chariot represents, I often associate with characters in books that are later on in series, closer to the end after they've been through some trials and tribulations. But I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to try and think of a book that was early in a series or even the first so that I could give a better recommendation and speak more on the contents of the book itself. So after giving it some thought, I realized that the book I think most closely mirrors the Chariot that I have read anyway is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. What the River Knows is a young adultish adventure story about a young woman who is living in Argentina when she learns that her parents have died in Egypt, where they spent most of their time. And in an effort to find out what happened to them and reconnect to the family that she barely got the chance to know, she decides to embark on a journey from Argentina to Egypt and discover the mystery of their deaths. Once there, she faces a bevy of obstacles because at this time, I believe it's in like the 1920s, women are still very much not supposed to be traveling on their own, and they are often excluded from any sort of business decisions or certainly the adventure that she is looking for. Furthermore, her uncle who has been left in charge of her estate and her family's estate, and yes, does indeed control her money, does not want her there at all and is keen on sending her back to Argentina with a pat on the head and a see you later. However, Inez, our main character, will not take no for an answer. She has been told no all her life and has been excluded from her parents' lives since since before she can remember, and she cannot rest until she knows what happened to them. She's also desperate to explore the country that they loved so much that they would leave her behind so often. In the course of trying to convince her uncle to take her on the expedition, she meets his young assistant named Whit, and together they form a strange sort of friendship. Whit very much works for her uncle and is in alignment with a lot of his decisions. However, Inez is just so determined and so damn resourceful and plucky. I hate to use that word, but it kind of describes her, that he kind of finds himself charmed by her and in some ways works with her to flout her uncle's decisions so that she can be brought along. Eventually, Inez is allowed to go on the expedition, where she discovers things about her parents, things about her uncle, things about Egypt, and things about magic that she never knew before. So what about this book makes me think of the Chariot? Well, it all has to do with the Chariot's key words of willpower and determination and overcoming obstacles, because especially in the beginning part of this book, that is all Inez can do. She is constantly facing no's and men who think that they know better for her and are constantly working against her to exclude her and to keep her in ignorance. And she simply does not take no for an answer. When she gets off the boat in Egypt and her uncle has sent Whit to pretty much put her back on the boat and send her right back to Argentina, she literally just walks away from him and leaves her luggage and leaves everything behind because she knows that she won't get away otherwise, and she just bolts. And that was the moment I knew that I like this girl. She has tenacity, she has guts, and she isn't precious about her position in life or the comforts that she has come to expect of someone with her kind of wealth. And it just goes from there. Anytime that she is told no, she wiggles her way into enough space where she can hunker down and make sure that she is not excluded. And time and again, she is rejected, she is cast off, she is ignored, she is belittled, she is spoken over, and she does not let that deter her until finally she sneaks onto the boat that is going to this expedition site. And by the time they discover her, it's too late. And it's just, she knows how to find a way to get to where she needs to be and get what she wants. I've heard a lot of criticisms about this book, especially about the way Inez is treated and how she goes through this book pretty much swimming in ignorance, and how everyone is determined to withhold information and resources from her. And that is true. That persists throughout the book all the way up until the end, and probably even into the next book based on the ending. And I can agree with that criticism. However, I see Inez as someone who is so determined and so tenacious that yes, when she makes mistakes or when she comes upon a situation where she is ignorant or doesn't have the information that she needs or is manipulated into making choices she would not have otherwise, she never backs down. She never backs down from the people in opposition to her. And that to me is what the Chariot is all about. It is all about that willpower and determination. When you draw the Chariot, you know that the time for passivity is past. And that is true of Inez when she gets the letter that tells her that her parents are dead. She knows that she cannot sit and wait for answers to come because they have never been given to her. And so she goes to Egypt, and she will not let herself sit idly by while men around her make decisions on her behalf and on behalf of her money to essentially get whatever they want without any thought or care given to this young woman who's lost her whole life pretty much. The Chariot is about strength and conviction and barreling through obstacles no matter how high they are stacked in your way. And that to me is the essence of Inez. The Chariot often inspires me to be more assertive and be more bold and be more direct about what I want and what I want to achieve. And again, that is purely Inez. She does not lie down. She does not take no for an answer. And while yes, unfortunately, she makes mistakes. And yes, the fact that she's constantly kept in ignorance and that she doesn't really know how to navigate that ignorance or ask the right questions because of her ignorance, she does end up making some decisions that put her in a worse position than before. And I can see how that would be frustrating for some readers. But again, I just find her tenacity to be the most incredible part of this book. And with that wraps up this tarot card book recommendation. Please let me know in the comments if you have a different book in mind for the Chariot, or if if you agree that the Chariot matches what the river knows energy. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe or consider leaving a comment below. In my next video, I hope to finally have my Who Wore It Better reading vlog where I am reading 2 books with very similar keywords and buzzwords. It has been a little bit of a journey trying to finish one of the books in that vlog, so I'm pushing it back until Thursday, but my hope is to finish reading that book and get that vlog up for you on Thursday. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.